Hey, everybody, welcome to the ECS Hangout. This is the place where we all come together in the car community to talk about all the cool things. We do this every Saturday at 8 p.m. Remember, you can look us up on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, all different great places, and we continue to add places to it. As always, I am your host. By the way, sponsored by Control Freak. Reggie, I almost forgot it. ControlFreakCompany.com. Ah, man, I got to practice more. But yeah, ControlFreakCompany.com. And yeah, tonight, I'm your host, Primo, and I have with me my boy that runs ECS, Reggie. Whoa, Enzo, big victory thing there. What's up, Enzo? So yeah, what's going on today, Reggie?
Not much. We got one of our photographers heading down to Southern Tradition Show in Canton, Georgia. This should be tomorrow. And I think you guys can talk about tonight.
I did. I actually went to Viva East. I just got back about an hour or so ago, a couple hours, I guess. It was a great show. Amazing turnout. I think it's pre-70s cars or pre-60s. I don't know I forget the timing on it, but it's definitely hot rods. Lowriders had a lot of really nice trucks out, which I was really liked. They had all sorts of stuff. You know what I really dig? You know those big vans? You know what I'm talking about? They have the big truck vans that they're like out of what's that movie? Jeepers Creepers. And love them. Like they have these ones that are just awesomely functional, and they're just so fun to be around. So yeah, I love them to death. And yeah, that show was great. Had they just live bands left and right. They have basically like they do like a Thursday, Friday, Saturday thing building up to it. And I think I need to do once where I do all 3 days. So I know Pharaoh's on.
Yeah, I'm trying. I'm over here at Buttonwoods Brewery.
Uh-oh.
My boy Al Mahoney.
Oh shit! I didn't know I was live.
Yeah, you are live. What's going on?
Chilling.
I figured I'd pop in real quick, say hi.
I appreciate that.
I can't stay too long because, well, hey. The beers are flowing. But I wanted to pop in and say hi.
What are you guys up to today? You got a show or just hanging out?
Nah, just hanging out, you know. There we go.
Yeah.
Just hanging out, having a good time, kicking back a couple beers, talking about some old times, man.
Right.
Like we're too damn old to be inside at 8 o'clock on a Saturday.
You got to tell him to break him into being on the show. You got to ask him what kind of car he has.
What kind of? All right, talk cars, Mahoney.
What kind of?
Man, what kind of car do I have? It's nothing impressive. I have a 2013 Honda Fit.
Okay. He's putting a V8 in it, right?
But if you go Google Konerko 5 across the face,
okay.
At the end of that video, you will see him ripping Monte Carlo Super Sport 454.
Nice.
So
not safe for the street.
Not safe for the street, but he did do a burnout.
I don't believe in such a thing. Not safe.
He does know what he's doing technically.
Nice.
But all right, I'll let you boys get back to it. We're gonna get back to these
those boozies.
We get back to these bears here.
All right, man. Thank you for popping in. I appreciate it.
All right, have a great night, guys.
You too. Well, that's a cool thing we have about our show is that the ability for people to like really just jump in and kind of say hi. Sam meets you saying, "What's up, guys? What's up, Sam? Good to see you tonight." So let's see. So we did Viva East. What do you have any other shows that are coming up?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought the other person that was in the chat was going to answer that.
They left.
No, we have the Southern Tradition Show in Canton, Georgia. It's going on all weekend. There's a lot of people going down there right now. There's quite a few shows going on, actually. Mm-hmm. But hard to get all the photographers out to each and every show. We tried to, but
did you have anybody at Viva East?
No, that was one that I started to do, and then I just didn't go back.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But a great show.
Right. I think Vinny's going to be mad at it if you don't do King of the Hill. So.
Well, maybe you can swing by and pick me up.
Oh, there you go. You definitely. I think. Are you on the way?
I'm in Riverside.
How far away is that from it?
I don't know. I know they're out Smithfield or something like that.
Yeah, I am awful. It's funny. Rhode Island is like tiny, and I'm like, I don't know where things are. So, I mean, it can't be more than 30, 40 minutes at tops, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to figure a way to get out there because I'm gonna feel like if I don't go out there.
Mm-hmm. And they're gonna be expecting you.
Well, because I told Vinny and the boys that I would come back out there, and I don't want to let them down each and every year, you know.
Right. They had a good showing today too. The Creeps had a good show. The Kingpins had a bunch of their cars out, and obviously they got. I mean, both those groups have solid vehicles to show off. It's like some of the cars they have out in the regular show, if you will, and I'm kind of like, man, that car needs to be featured. You know what I mean? But I know that they did have like the 3-day. I know like Richie and whatever, he comes out early to do his stuff. But that's the thing is I think that's probably why they didn't have like the VIP set up the way they did, was because some people just want to roll in when they want to roll in. So, but yeah, that's the thing is that both those groups have really good ones. I think it was Slow Rollers is another organization over there that they always have some of the best cars. They're my favorites. You know what I mean? Like every time they come out, they have different genres or different hot rods or different whatever that always like dings the bells, and having the ones with tons of good paint. I've loved tons of patina this year, which I really like. The rust stuff has really just found its place. So that's the thing is I love that. You know what I mean? Oh, look at that.
By the way, since the last time we spoke last Saturday, this is the new release of July print.
Nice.
So I figure I'll bring it up and show you. That was some footage that Danny did the shot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
looks good. Yeah, I liked it. And that now is that magazine already came out, right? With the one with that cover?
Yeah. That's the recent one.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I don't know why I should have been able to just do this until somebody else comes in. They'll just replay and replay.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he shot that down in Georgia, or not Georgia, but Florida. I don't know where Danny's at tonight. The feature is a beautiful lowrider. It was shot by Brandon, ECS Brandon.
Nice.
So he shot the lowrider. There's a lot of great coverage in there, from up here and there. We even have wicked big meat is in this.
Mm-hmm.
And Formula Drift is also in this.
Oh wow, okay. Yeah, I gotta see it. There's comes a point when I'm gonna have to catch up with it, because I remember seeing the picture when it came out, and I was like, I haven't had time to stop, you know what I mean, or slow down to look at anything. So, but yeah,
I might actually have a little bit here. I don't know if I do. I should have all this stuff prepared before I even come on here.
No, I never do. So,
yeah, I don't have it on here yet. Not in video. This is kind of a dead night tonight.
No, not at all. That's it. The thing is I think it's the reason that it's so tough to even contact people right now is because there's so much stuff going on. And I think that's great. It just seems very weird to kind of feel like we've entered into July and now things are just getting kind of picked up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And we keep going the way we're going. This is going to be, it'll end the year kind of, it's weird because it felt like it started off with a lot of momentum. We kind of went a little bit slower into June, but then July hit and now everything's coming through. Everything's, moving right along. And I'm just expecting more and more stuff to be happening. I know that for tomorrow, there's I have another thing to go to, but there's a ton of shows that are out there, and I get messages left and right now that all these different ones that people are going to. So it's good to be busy. But I don't know. I kind of get into like the bigger stuff. I like the idea of like the Viva East, the big shows like that, especially when you go to shows that you have all different options to go to. Like you go to a show and it's like this show that we went to today, the one we go to next week or during Thursday and Friday, none of the cars will be the same. So we'll keep seeing all new stuff for each one we go to. And that's really exciting for me. So yeah, I want to keep it being busy. So, but yeah, I wanted to, I know we were talking about this earlier and I definitely wanted to bring it up. I wanted to find out how you had ECS magazine, how that kind of all started and what brought you to do all this stuff. And, what's that ride been like?
It's been a long one. We've been doing it for, going on 22 years, started in 2001. I believe a lot of people don't know this. It started out just as a regular lowrider website, just a free-based lowrider website when I first started it. And it was just East Coast styles. And what I did is I went to a lot of shows. I traveled everywhere in a little Ford Escort.
Wow. What year Ford Escort?
That was in 1994.
Oh, I had a 95.
But believe it or not, that car wasn't even that old when I started in 2001.
Right. Mm-hmm. No, it wasn't. It was so funny that because I got mine, I want to say in 96, 97. And like that was it was such an I was because I had a stick shift. I want to say it was the 2-liter. But when I finally went to trade that in, and I want to say it was like 2000 something, they wouldn't, the dealership said, we don't want the car. They're like, we cannot sell it. They were like, we don't want it. Just do whatever you want to do it. I ended up selling it privately, but I ended up making like 4,000 or 5,000 for it. So I was like, how do you guys can't sell it? So
matter of fact, I had it right here in front of me. I could have told you. That print magazine that you see right there has Battle in the Bomber from Mobile, Alabama, Cadillac Kings Show in North Carolina, Cruising Ocean City from Ocean City, Maryland, Formula Drift from Englishtown, New Jersey, Motorama in Canada from Toronto, Canada.
Wow.
The Outer Banks Show, of course, Outer Banks, North Carolina. The Rev Show, which was in Millgrove, Ontario, Canada. That's in this print.
Got it.
Spring Slam in Rockingham, North Carolina is in this coverage, or this print.
Yep.
We had Street Rod Nationals from York, Pennsylvania. Summer Showdown in Concord, North Carolina. Themes Cars or Us in Marietta, Georgia. I think I said that right.
Sounds
and then the Wicked Big Meat in Stanford Springs, Connecticut. All 12 of those are in this print.
Wow.
Yeah, but a lot of people forgot about the last print, because the last print we had After Dark, the Auto Fair, Beauty and the Beast, Cruising for Emissions, Dust Off. That's from New England.
Yeah.
Low Time Show. We had Mid Atlantic Indoor Nationals from Pennsylvania, New York Auto Show in New York, Quinnipiac, Hampton, Connecticut. I don't know if I said that right.
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah, you said it right.
Relaxing on the Ranch, River Ranch, Florida, Southeastern Mini Truck Nationals, Maggie Valley, Sparks in the Park. I mean, that right there is in 2 print magazines, 24 coverages that we put in 2 print magazines. I mean, so so far as of right now, what we got coming is a Southern Tradition Show, it's Scraping the Coast, East Tennessee Showdown, Oklahoma Lowrider Bash. I mean, we're all over the place, man.
Yeah. Too gets to the point of too much stuff, right?
No, it's never too much.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll get busy enough where they keep me busy all the time.
Right. Well, that's the thing is it's when it comes to other places like California, Florida, in Virginia, we really had a time when we kind of shut down the shows. You know what I'm saying? Like you'd still have stuff throughout the year, but there really was like, you couldn't have a show in November, December, or it was January, stuff like that. But like with Florida and things like that, you would expect them to be able to have pretty much shows year round, right?
Yeah, they have shows down there. You also don't forget Texas, Louisiana, Georgia.
Right.
A lot of stuff.
I don't know anything about the Texas, like the car shows in Texas. I've never even heard of
You
anything.
don't, Bubba.
What was
That's
that?
that's some of the baddest car shows in the United States.
That's what
I'm
people are telling me now. Yeah.
Have you ever watched the channel Motor Trend?
I get their updates, but I don't really watch it regularly. No.
Have you ever watched a TV show called Texas Metal?
No, never heard of it.
They're out of Texas. Look them up.
Mm-hmm.
They
Nice.
build some of the baddest trucks like you see on that cover right there.
Mm-hmm.
They builds that stuff in Texas and Oklahoma are loaded and infamous for some of the baddest built bag trucks and lifted trucks you've ever seen in your life.
Nice.
I mean, hell, when I was living in North Carolina, I used to go out that way to go to shows because they were amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But Florida used to be like the big dogs at one time, but it seemed like everything moved over towards Texas.
Got it. Yeah. And I think, yeah, I mean, that seems natural. And I'm wondering, like, a lot of the stuff has like started to move into Texas. So I'm sure that they've had like an influx of different car shows and different car genres that I'm thinking they didn't have before. Like in Florida and Texas, both just, I mean, their census is going way up.
Surprisingly, that's what I love. I hate to say it, but because I'm up here in Rhode Island, right along with you, but down south, you can't really touch them. It's incredible. I mean, you go to shows down there and you see everything together in one show. That's why I respect that one cat that's up here. What's his name that we had on here once before that does that show in Massachusetts, where he brings everybody together.
You talking about Javier?
That too.
Yeah.
But the summer something that's over here, Send Off.
Oh, Summer Send Off, Tony Torres. Yep. He just sold out his show.
I didn't know that.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Why would he do that?
What's that?
Why would he do that for?
He doesn't have space for any more cars. His show is completely like pre-secured for all the spots that he has at the show. He can't take another person in the show. Anything else is going to be spectator only. And then even then, I'm wondering where they're going to park them.
Okay, so I took it the wrong way. I thought you told me he's like sold it out.
No. He sold out like people, like too many people.
Well, that's a good thing in some ways, but it's also sad because he can't bring that more people in too.
Right.
But that's okay because Mini Trucking Nationals down there in North Maggie Valley, North Carolina does it too. They do pre-registration order. They fill them up. Time of the show, you don't have a ticket, you don't get in.
Right, and I think that's awesome.
Yeah, it's a guaranteed profit every year. Mm-hmm. You do it for charity, or you put it in your own pocket. I mean, it's a benefit of doing this. A lot of people don't like it, but you know, if they put pre-registration and you jump online and you get your ticket, you're set.
Well, that's my thing. When I did the obviously most of my shows are supercar and luxury oriented. So somebody was like, well, you know, how do you do it? And I said, well, I register every car show that I run is pre-registration only. And that means that if somebody messages and I said, what kind of car are you bringing? So if they put this car, I put it in there. I know what's going to show up to the show. And the thing, I mean, a lot of times, like with the pre-70s shows, you know what I mean? It's like you always have somebody that wants to sneak something in, and you're like, if you pre-register for it, you make sure that the people that need to be there can be there. And you know, like it's same for import and same for all these other shows. Make sure you dial in for success. And a lot of people, if you don't pre-register, you're leaving it at the door. And if people forget, they forget. If they register, that you know they're at least I'd say 80 to 90% guaranteed to show up. And that was the thing is we registered 110 cars, not for this last one, but for the one before. And we were limited to the amount of spots that we had. And it was a rain day and we got 99 of the cars that showed up. So that's saying something for a supercar show, especially.
Mm-hmm. But you know, that's the way they run shows. I mean, and that is the way to do it. Yep. So I mean, but there's a lot of people out there that don't like it, but the ones that don't like it, like you said, is the ones that can't sneak the slam station wagon in the door or something.
Right. And I'm not going to judge anybody poorly who, you know what I mean? It's like, if you say, hey, I don't do that. I don't do pre-registration. I don't do other stuff. I run an import show. This is the way it is. I got tons of people. Some people like Tony, for instance, not that he could do a show and have it not be pre-registered. He's done it in the past and he'd still fill the place up. It's just that now there is a predisposed people know that if they're showing up, we don't have space for you. So you don't have to kick people out at the door, which I think is I'm not going to remember the name of the show. There's another show up here that we have. And if I did remember it, I still wouldn't name it. We have another show up here that always sells out. They open up at 7 or 8. They have maybe 70 or 80 spots. The show starts at 9. All the cars that want to be in the show because they know it fills up shows up at 6 and 7 in the morning to be in the show, and they still sell out. So it's like now people show up and they go, I didn't have a spot. I showed up at 7:30, 8:30 that you said the show started at 9. I get here. I don't have a spot to get in the show. And everybody's always complaining. And every year, because everybody's gotten this habit of complaining, they don't. You see what I'm saying? They're always complaining now. See, now you've started a system of complaints. It's sabotaging it. You know what I mean? So
yeah, but I respect shows like that. Like Mini Trucking Nationals, they hold it at Fairgrounds in Maggie Valley, North Carolina,
right.
And they started doing it, and people didn't like it. But when they started doing the pre-registrations, not only did he do pre-registrations, but he had you send a picture of your vehicle. And what you were planning on bringing.
I actually like that.
If you got a response, then you were welcome into that show. You're welcome to the show. And people think that's so wrong, but he wanted to have top-notch quality rides.
If you want to have a quality show, you gotta prep it for quality.
If you want anything, you have an open car show. But that's a it's a full-blown mini truck show, and that's what he wants to keep.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing is, and you were saying it too, nothing wrong with that. You want to do the open, if you want to pre-register and send pictures, which I think it was, we did something with Hot Import Nights a while ago. And this was years and years and years ago. This is like early when I was doing stuff with them, and they were the same way. They were like, hey, what are you bringing out? And like, well, we're bringing this. I'm like, well, you got to send in pictures. You got to do this. We got to make sure to know where to put you. Are we going to stuff you in the back with all the crap cars, or we're going to put you in the front and do this? And that was the thing is they made sure that everything that showed up in that show represented them. If you're going to have it represent you, that's how you do it. So I'd like to remember Javier. I would love to have him on at one point. I've never ever asked him about that, as saying, all our stuff was, every time we've ever done his show, it was a guarantee that we were just going to be in because he knew the car. But that's the thing is I was like, for regular people that come in that just submit stuff, I was like, do you do pictures? Do you do, how do you make sure that all the shows are quality? Because it's shown over time that his show has continued to build up from being Boston, then Florida. And I'm sure with the way he handles things, it's going to keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger, start expanding until he starts taking over stuff like he's the new HIN or he's the new whatever. And it's still his.
And Import Evolution is also in South Carolina now too.
Yeah, right. Exactly. And that's what I'm saying. He's just going to keep growing because of the way he handles his stuff. And Pete, that's what this is my thing. I want, and I don't think they have a problem with me saying this because I've said it before, and I think other people agree with me on it. The 22 rally. I want the 22 rally not to just be the one event. I want it to be an event, one track day here. I want it to be another event over here. I want it to be another event over there. I want it to be different events in different places. And that way you can have, imagine if you just support veterans at one show. Imagine what you can do throughout the year when you're constantly influxing funds into this charity and helping with veterans, and you're having events that people are going to that are not only having fun but who really identify with this charity aspect, and not just like the charity. The 22 thing is so important to these guys, but identifying with that charity, like it's very hard not to identify with that. And especially when you meet the people and you hear their success stories about these people that said, I was having such a tough time and now my life is so much better. And I'm on this rally now doing it with you guys. And it's like, it's just surreal. You know what I mean? Like how they've changed things over in their lives and somebody gave them a chance. And, this group like Mission 22, for instance, got behind them, helped them. And now they're taking all that energy now and directing it to good ways that are helping them succeed instead of fail. Like Veterans Incorporated, for instance, and giving a place for a veteran to live because people don't realize how homeless is a big problem for them. So
some of the shows that respect me that I respect the most, well, they expect me to, but the ones I respect the most, honestly, is the ones that give back to charity. I seem to be attracted to car shows or any auto event that benefits any kind of charity that helps people. For some reason, those are the first ones I jump at. If you have a car show never heard of, or a big name that I'm not really respectful of, that you want me to come cover your show, and this guy is putting the first annual show together and 100% goes to kids, I got chances are I'm going to that one because it's just something about charity, something about helping out homeless or veterans or kids or
that's the thing is I want to see a lot of times I'm starting to see the same kind of charities that have been around for a while. Not to say that's a bad thing, but I do want to see more stuff with like helping homeless, helping, different groups that I think that people don't realize you can do the most by supporting this car thing. And the other thing too, and this is the thing that I need to tell people, you can't ever go wrong with the idea of making people see cars as hoodlums. They see them as a lot of times as like, oh, well, I was so weird to talk to somebody from California that said, oh, those guys that drive the Hondas, they steal engines and all that stuff is stolen. And I'm like, where are you getting this from? Like
movies.
Yeah, exactly. Movies. Oh, I just saw it the other day. There was one where, the person was, that was on NBC. The person was driving down the street and the guy, it was just one car. They're supposedly street racing at 130 miles per hour down the street. I'm like, he's got a dealer plate on the car. It's two young kids. His dad owns a dealership. These guys weren't street racing. They were joyriding. And the thing was, I was asking about it. I said, watch, he has a record. Before the end of the article stopped, the guy says, yeah, this guy's been pulled over like 7 times for speeding. And even then it was a misdemeanor. Like it wasn't even that big a deal for them, but they're like really loading it up. Like, if you guys get to the, I'm like, come on, they see us this negative way and they're sold on it. So if you go out and you help a charity and you start helping the community like that, and you have a community of people that back you up, you can't lose. They can't see you as a bad person anymore. And the thing is they're a lot easier to forgive somebody who just gave $20,000 to charity than it is to say, oh, you were down at the corner street again, like having your pop-up meet and doing burnouts in some random person's parking lot. The one hurts us, one makes us better. And I hate to have to say that. I would like it better if we were just seen how we used to be seen. But even then we were outlaws.
Mm-hmm. Have you noticed that every different type of custom vehicle has a completely different stereotype that they give you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Isn't it amazing? And you know what's funny is 22 years that I've been doing this magazine, I've hung out with so many different walks of life, and it really blows my mind to why that they treat each other differently when they don't even take the time to get to know the other custom car community. And when you hang out with different varieties, you hang out with respectable import crews, respectable lowrider crews. And I'm saying respectable and loosely because you got a lot of young people that really ruin it.
Right.
But people that's been in this scene for a long time have a lot of respect for the scene.
Yeah.
And those young ones will eventually too. But there's always going to be the ones that ruin it. But big lowrider, I drove so many, built so many lowriders, man. I'm one for all. Stick up for lowriders when I say this. Police and elderly people have the worst impression of lowriders.
Yep. Yep.
They assume that every time a car comes on the road hitting switches with spoke wheels and candy paint, they're going around selling drugs to their children.
That's that crazy.
The custom van world suffers because every time they cruise down the boulevard or come creeping through a neighborhood, they're going to steal their kids.
Mm-hmm. That's the weirdest thing ever. Because like if you just hang out with the lowrider community for 5 minutes, and if you don't change your idea of like the family mindset that they have, the cool connections that they have, it's just so awesome.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with that. But the thing, after all these years of doing this magazine and going to so many different types of car shows, everything is so related that many truckers don't realize it with lowriders, and lowriders don't realize it with the imports. There's a difference, but there's so much of a similarity to it. You know, I've been to import shows where they treat me just as good as going to a lowrider barbecue. I've been to mini truck shows where they love to have you at the mini truck shows, and I've been to Creek Car Club show.
Mm-hmm.
I've been to them. I've been to Viva East. Viva East reminds me of a lowrider picnic.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
They all have these similarities, and what kills me is you got stuff like rap videos and music videos. I'm not going to say just rap videos, but music videos and movies. Movies ruin everything in the car culture.
It's scary how much movies have done bad things for us. Yeah.
Bro, come on, man. The first Fast and Furious, I loved it. I don't like the rest of them, but I like the first one. But that really made a bad impression on imports.
And that was the thing about it is that the thing that excited us about it was also the thing that like put us in such a bad light, because it really was, it was supposedly, how do I say this? It was exonerating the street racing mindset. And so a lot of people jumped into that. And I was like, it was really kind of exonerating the import drag scene, which was so prevalent, bringing it out to the drag strip and actually competing to see who was the fastest. That was what was really the power of it. And everybody took it all wrong. They saw it as something completely different. And that was it really was promoting car shows and going to the drag strip. And there's never a problem with that, but nobody saw it like that.
No, they only wanted to remember them stealing robbing the trucks for car parts.
They saw stolen trucks, stolen engines, stolen cars, street racing, breaking the law, drag race, outrunning trains, like all the negative stereotypes. That's what everybody got out of it. And I think that was not, is it, here's the thing. Cause we were saying it too, is like, you were saying that a lot of these kids mess this stuff up. And I go, you know what, there's only, and then I've learned, it was so funny that it was reinstilled in me because I had forgotten about this as a kid, but there's only certain groups that really ruin it for everybody else. It's not all the kids. There was a lot of kids that we had that came to, for instance, like 22 rally that I was like, I bring these guys anywhere. They were amazing drivers. They were
There's a lot of young kids out there too. Yes. And
they were like 18, 19. So, and then we had these other groups that got together and tried to do the right thing. And then we had one group. And when I remember, it was 5 guys and they just had the wrong attitude, and nothing we did would ever, like, everybody tried to ostracize them because they didn't want to be around it because they're doing burnouts in the middle of the highway, but nobody could ostracize themselves from them fast enough. And now I think they lasted like 6 months to a year, and now nobody wants to deal with them. Nobody wants anything to do with them. And even like, what was it? The police actually had to try to have a sting on them and ended up collecting their license plates and stuff like that. And they tried to make it worse. And all the good people always rose to the top and all the bad people sunk to the bottom. So like I said, I'm wondering if there's a way, like a movie like Fast and Furious comes out, or maybe Gone in 60 Seconds. Is there a way that we could take a movie like that and then emphasize the good things that we've done? You know,
Making it in a positive way, yeah.
Right. And I don't know if what's that?
It sucks that you bring that up because when there was a movie, I don't think you ever heard of it, but there was a movie that came out. It's been years ago now, but it was called Lowrider.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I watched it.
You're talking about the one where he was spray painting the side of the wall, right? He was a spray paint kid. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, that movie I was in love with, and for a while in that movie, I really thought like, wow, they're going to make a good impression on lowriders, but they still, once again, put the brother as a freaking, bad guy. You get chased down, shot by the cops, and everything out on the freaking bridge and stuff, and it's like, this is not the way the lowrider people are. Look, respectively, my boys down there at Chicanos in Providence. And I know almost every one of my lowrider guys, when you go hang out with them, dude, they're truck drivers, they're dump truck drivers, they own businesses.
Yeah.
They're just like us. And it's amazing to me how they get stereotyped as some sort of gangbanger or a drug dealer when they own Sanchez Marketplace in Providence. You got the funny thing there in North Carolina running the freaking dump truck business.
And what we don't realize is if we don't fight against that, the problem that happens is stigmas. When you get stigmatized, when you get stigmatized, then when you put up a show and you said, I'm doing this show and there's a ton of us out here, people don't go to it because they're scared of what the stigma that they see that's associated with it, that they've learned from a movie or they've learned from whatever. And it's like, if you don't know the people, it's very hard to get people to acclimate. That's why I people would look at me and said, you're going to take a chance with that. And I was like, it's not taking a chance. All these guys put love and care into what you're seeing. You've seen Richie Kingpin's car, right?
Yeah. And look what he does for a living.
Yeah. But my thing is that who builds a car like that and doesn't put care like that in everything that they do? You get what I'm saying?
Okay, but the guy that was on the cover was Sarah, the one that owns Street Trends Metalwork.
Yeah. Jamie.
Look at him thinking.
Yeah.
And it's sad that up here people know who he is, but he drove that thing down to say, I don't know, another state like Tennessee and everything else. The police are going to pull him over and want to search his freaking car for drugs. And people say that don't happen.
It does.
But bro, I had a little wheezy Ford Escort with hydraulics on it. I left New Bern, North Carolina, and went 30 minutes down the freaking road to another little small town that never seen me before. 7 cops pulled me over, searched my car for drugs, and then wrote me a license plate light ticket.
Yep. My favorite one to this day
it does happen.
I was pulled over, and it was funny that I was wearing a suit and tie at the time. And because I was going to this big meeting, but I was like, you know what? I'm taking the nice car because that's the car I wanted to drive. And I got pulled over, and I've never seen an officer so confused in all his life to be like, wait a minute, you're in a suit and tie driving this. Like it was they didn't know what to do with it. But that thing is I don't want to think either too that because there's a lot of, especially around here too, there's a lot of police that actually drive cars. And I think that's the good thing is that they get out, they get involved in it. Now they know the people. So if you see that car, you go, I know if that guy's a problem or not. And that's the thing I think that a lot of people who do these car shows too don't realize is when people are at that show or if somebody comes in and you go, that's a police officer, but he's in plain clothes. You'd never know. And he's not in there to mess with anybody. He's just in there to enjoy a show. Trust me, he's taking notes. He knows who the person is doing whatever. And you just, like you said, you just hope that everybody plays ball and does the right thing. But have you ever heard of the Rochester show at the trade show that they have up at what do you call it? The technical school. It was the Rochester Technical School, Old Colony. When they do their show, they actually have police that show up and display their vehicles, which I thought was one of the coolest things ever.
That's another thing that bothers me. Have you ever been to a car show where people were like classified a certain something? And I've seen it happen in person. Where they classifying or sitting there judging a vehicle about based off of what they were driving and saying who they are, and the guy would get out. This happened in North Carolina. The guy get out of the driver's seat and go, "I'm the sergeant of the police force."
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. Or I'm in the military. That's another one down south. You hear a lot of guys that's in the military that have them nice cars. There's mini truckers that are metal fabricating companies or they own airbag companies, and it's so sad. It almost makes me want to throw a car show and say, put your business logo on a sign in front of your car for one time to prove to everybody that you are somebody and you're not a drug dealer. You're not a person that's going to tear up a show. Show them what you do for a living. Just throw it out there. Say, this is what I do for a living. You know, but you shouldn't have to do that. But that's the way movies and music artists and stuff portray these cars. Imports, they all go through it. They all deal with it. There's muscle cars that can't stand a rat rod. There's rat rods that classic.
Well, this is something else that I think is important, and I think has been kind of lost on our car community, is that somebody was talking about, like, you know, these local businesses that do different things. And I was like, you guys need to go out there and visit the tech schools and give these kids that are actually in the classes and show them what you do, or have a class where you talk to them, or, you know, bring a project car out and get them vested in it, instead of just letting these big companies come in and say, like, and yeah, I'll just say it, Mercedes, for instance, and BMW, I think, is another one. They go to these tech schools and they give these programs to kids so that when they graduate, they're going to end up working at Mercedes. And I was like, think about the guys out there that are metal fabricators, welders, guys that build cars from the ground up. And I said, you guys need to go out there and say hello to these tech schools and show these guys the stuff you can do, because that would, a lot of stuff today when it comes to repairing cars is they're parts changers now. They don't actually know how to diagnose a problem as much as we used to. Like, you just look in and go, well, A and B doesn't work, so it must be C. And then it gets authorized as some kind of warranty repair. Imagine teaching kids and getting people invested in the idea of our future, who goes out and says, whoa, I can build that from scratch. That's how you build a race car. That's how you tune a race car. That's how, you know, this new technology that's coming out and the stuff that's been around for a while too, are both things that we could get these people invested in and get ahead of things. And I've got shops now that are doing it, but I just think if you're out there and you have whatever, call up a local tech school and say, hey, do you mind me bringing out something really nice to show these people and show them what we do? Maybe just give a metal bending class would be, you know, with a power hammer, you know, that I never remembered any of that happening in our tech school. And I just think it was sad. Most of the kids that did their stuff really just took it and ran with it. You know what I'm saying? Like, they went out and did things that the school didn't offer. They went out and found it, brought it to them and said, hey, we're going to learn this and it's going to be awesome. And it was awesome. So that's the thing is I think there just needs to be more out there that's going to get people motivated to get into the car world, not just from the aspect of saying new cars and all this other stuff, but being able to fabricate, race, all this other stuff, you know?
Look, when I started this magazine all them years ago, I literally could have started the magazine as just a lowrider website, or I could have started just for lowriders. I could have started just for mini trucks. But the main reason why I opened up East Coast Styles magazine for everything years ago was because I was going to shows that were including everybody, and I kept my mouth shut while I was walking around taking pictures, and you'd be surprised the stuff that I heard just walking around taking pictures. And people said, "Oh, I don't ever hear it, I don't ever see it." But the people that own a mini truck or a lowrider, a rat rod, everything else, they all know. You got the good that sit there said they don't like a certain vehicle because of something their friends have said or the way they were brought up, you know, and their parents only like muscle cars, so they only like muscle cars, or they only like Corvettes because their daddy had Corvettes, but also no friends of mine that build mini trucks and their son grows up and makes dump cars, big old wheels on their cars and stuff. I mean, I've seen the changes. Like, for instance, I love lowriders and mini trucks. That's my thing. That's always been my thing. My daughter wants a four-wheel drive pickup truck.
There you go. Yep.
It's different.
I don't know. I think you're right now, and I think I'm gonna be a little bit, what is it? How do I say this? I think I'm gonna let a trade secret on. The best thing you could make for a YouTube channel right now is truck content. by far. You can make any kind of truck content right now, and if you stuck with it and did it, I'd say 6 or 7 out of 10, you couldn't fail. My friend started his channel up. He had 600,000 views. Right now, he averages, without putting videos up, he's been busy. He's been averaging 45,000 views a month, and he's not putting content up. And that's like, you do a little bit of work or know a little bit about trucks. And I think that really will resonate with not just mini trucks, but I just think there's so much stuff, lift, lower, beds, colors, you name it. I mean, the thing is, it's not enough stuff for trucks, and that's crazy.
What makes it difficult for me is because I love everything. I really do.
Yeah.
I love anything that's custom. I'm a sucker for anything that's different, because owning this magazine, I don't do this magazine just because I obviously want to make a lot of money. I laugh at that because everybody knows that's BS. But I've been doing this magazine because I'm one of them kind of few that when I go to car shows, like a lot of people look at certain cars because they're in love with them. And it's a weird way to look. I look at car shows like an old person would walk into an art museum and admire photos or paintings. I look for things that are different. I look for eye pointers on vehicles that you've never seen, creativity, metalwork fabrication that you never thought would even be possible, or creativity in the interiors or the engine compartments or body kits or wheels that you've never seen before because they're worn off, or motor swaps that you never thought was possible. And you're looking in a car going, wow, I never saw that coming.
Right. And I think the older you get, the more connoisseur you get. In other words, like when I first started out, there was a lot of stuff. I looked at, there was a wide body thing that was done because new stuff comes in as you constantly get out there. And this was post 2000, wide body kits started becoming a thing. And I always wanted that super GT car. So I was like, anything that looked super GT or real street level, like our real street race car, I was into it. And it was so funny that one of the guys had something and they put it out, and I was like, man, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen. If I go back and looked at it now, I'm like the edges don't match up. Like stuff doesn't right. Like it's like, but I still appreciate it. But I'm just like, damn, I have a friend that builds this stuff. He actually he can fabricate whatever you want. And it was so funny that now I've seen his stuff and I see how meticulous he is. And now I start going back to the stuff that I see. It was like, they kind of just threw that together. Not that, again, that I don't appreciate it, but just the quality. And I'm like, I want what this new guy's selling versus what the old guy is selling. And maybe that's a good thing.
But what's also fascinating? The older you get, when you start missing the old stuff, and then you're realizing that the old stuff that you once loved is not there anymore, and you want to go build one just so you could be the only one with it.
Well, that's something. That's something that came up today, and I'm kind of I'm torn if I should have asked. So it was a bunch of guys they were older gentlemen that had some really cool hot rods, and they had their circle. They always have their circle where they have their bench chairs and they're talking about something. And I heard one of the guys saying, "Oh, you got to see all the new replicas coming out." He's like, "That's all it is today is all replicas." And I'm like, he's right, because all the collectors now want to get in. Like 57 Chevy, forget about it. You're not finding a good. They're gonna, if it's out there, a collector's already scooped it up for all the money. Certain Novas even had a point where it was like it doesn't matter. They've torn it up. So, and I'm sure Chevelles are the same way. Like there's no such thing as a cheap Chevelle anymore. It just doesn't exist. So the guy was talking about it, and he goes, the Camaro kit car became a thing. It was a replica. It's so easy to kind of rebuild a car from the past now that it's cheaper to rebuild I got it in fiberglass. I got it in whatever. I can make a ladder frame. I can mass produce a ladder frame. I can make a 57 Chevy, a Chevelle, whatever you want to make. Somebody can actually build it from nothing. And effectively, not that it's going to last longer than the car that was made in 1957, but it's going to be effectively better for the things the way they are today. In other words, feels better. It's got better dynamics of the seating. There's more stuff that's made for creature comforts, that kind of thing. So he goes, yeah, you're going to see more and more of those replicas. I got this close to just walking right into that pack and just going, and how do you feel about that? They never said how they felt about it. And it's killing me. I still, because I was like, I didn't do, and I think that I made the right decision about not jumping in for that moment. There's times when I would have, if this was a private event, in other words, it was just our guys. Oh yeah. I would have jumped right in and be like, okay, how do you feel? And all of you, I want to ask everybody, and I want to get everybody's input. I'm going to this is going to be a short survey. You're going to love it. And that's the thing that I'm wondering. See, I love the idea of having access to stuff like that. But sometimes collectors will look at that and say, it's not cool. Like, it's really just kind of stealing from our era. But my thing is the more we take from the past, the more we are actually teaching the future. And I think that's something that's missed by a lot of the youth today. The reason we don't have the reason the manual transmission is considered a theft deterrent is because we have started forgetting about our past, and we're trying to rush forward. And the thing is you really have to learn that there's people that tripped up well before you got here. And if you don't learn from them, especially in the car world, you don't realize how much of this is consumer driven. And the consumer, especially in the car world, because the two biggest things you're going to purchase in your life is your house and your car. And in your lifetime, you're going to buy seven cars was the going rate for a general person. Those people that buy 7 cars, they don't care. They want what they want. And if they don't get it, they will go find it. And I think that's going to open up markets for kit cars where somebody goes, hey, you can't buy your car from BMW anymore because all they have is electric. We can build your car right out in the backyard here. Put whatever engine you want in. You want the 6-cylinder, 2-liter turbo, whatever. And we can even have AC, heated seats. I mean, think about it. You can get anything done.
Just like that one guy on YouTube. I gotta wish his name. He pissed a lot of people off. He took a Tesla, pulled the motor out, and put a V8 in it,
and then brought it to the shop. And the guy's like, he's like, I need an oil change. And the guy's like, that's a Tesla. And he was like, yeah, no, it needs an oil change. And the guy starts it up and he's like, what is that? And he was like, it's got an engine. And yeah. And they draw it up and they're like, this is crazy. It's like, yeah, it's got an actual engine in it and the whole 9 yards. That's the example of what I'm talking about is you're not going to stop car guys. Car guys that really
love the car, but you want a different motor.
Right. Yeah. So that's the thing is, as I said, it doesn't matter what you build. There are guys that if I want a Tesla, but I want it to have an engine in it, I'm going to get an engine in it if I'm willing to pay the money. And that's, like I said, these guys that are the people that are the consumers. And if you don't acclimate to the consumer as a car, I don't care what anybody's trying to press forward. Those consumers will look over and say, we'll put you out of business. And that's already almost happened once. So, you know what I mean? If you're either going to listen or you're not going to listen, but that's what I'm talking about learning from the past. And that's the thing is somebody, someplace, whether it be somebody like Factory 5, whether it be whatever company, somebody's going to get rich on the changes that they're moving forward. Just going to happen. So,
you know, and like down south is really big with mini trucks.
Yep.
Like big time, huge down south. You see that in my covers. I mean, mini trucks are a huge thing.
Oh,
but
absolutely.
What do you always see? Here's a hinter. This will make people that just come in watching there, they get excited. The biggest things they do is Nissans, Mazdas, Chevy S10. Now, question is, where's the new ones?
Right. Yeah, I'm not tearing up an $80,000 truck. That's for sure.
No, but the point is where's the new mini trucks? Like legitimately mini trucks. They come out. The only mini trucks that come out now is mid-size or full-size.
Right.
Like all of a sudden the mini trucks died off, but you still have a culture out there, a huge culture that loves mini trucks. There's people out there waiting. Like what was it? The recent one that Ford came out with, the Maverick.
Oh yeah, okay. I haven't seen that one.
There's quite a few of them down south. There's already bagged Mavericks.
That's funny. Doesn't shock me either. I bet they already had the kit made before the thing got there too.
There's one in the coverage in this recent, or in the last magazine, Southeast Mini Truck National, and I put it in print too because it was different.
Yep,
it
that's
it has
funny.
airbrush graphics up the side of it. It was lowered and everything else. Had nice rims on it and everything.
That's awesome.
It was built 90s mini styles.
Yep.
It had that mini truck style from the 90s, and the way they had airbrush graphics on and everything else. And even though it was a brand new truck, pretty freaking dope.
Yeah, exactly.
Look, I wish they do away with the front wheel drives on a lot of the big body cars, so the lowrider people have something else to build.
I would, that was something that, and maybe I got it from the Japan stuff, but a lot of the Japan guys with their race cars had cars that started out as front wheel drive, and they said, we don't want it like that. So they converted a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff got converted to all wheel drive, which is probably how I would do it. But they converted a lot of things to using a rear wheel drive architecture, and it was very easy for them. There's got to be something here that you can just be like, I'm grabbing this architecture, putting it here, and bolting it up. So how hard can it be?
I want to challenge some lowrider people out there in this country. I want to see someone do it. Get a 2000, the brand new 2020. It's got to be a rich guy, but you don't have to stay be a drug dealer. Oh my God! but somebody to take a newer model, big body car that's front wheel drive, to build a bag chassis on it, notch the body of the car up, and put it on the chassis, and put hydraulics on it, build a lowrider out of a newer body style with a rear wheel drive.
Yep, I'd like to see it.
Pop up to a lowrider show, and everybody thinks front wheel drive, and all of a sudden the rear end and the front end starts doing three wheels and shit, and everybody be like, what?
Yep. The thing when we had the when my Genesis came out in 2010, before our car was even for sale on the lots, one of the guys had already made a mid-engine version of it. So it was a front engine car. So to be mid-engine, they had to tear out the center, put the engine in, change the whole entire architecture of the way the car drove, put a heat shield in it, make it so that whole thing worked without making internal noise and all that other stuff, and then make it so it was doable. And I mean, if they can do that, you can do anything like that. I mean, I would think that a lowrider would be easy for that. So,
well, I'm talking about just anything in general. Like I said, when I go to shows or my guys go to shows and I pull up the covers they've done, I'm more fascinated. I'm quicker to put them in the magazine if they pull up something that's never been done before, and I see it in the coverage. If I'm going to the coverage to put in the print and I see something that I've never seen done before, you best believe that sucker is going to be in that print.
Right.
Because
and that's the thing.
Different.
So here's a good question for you. How much stuff today that you see is actually new?
I've seen a lot of bag full sizes were out the showroom floor. Big things about dualies and crew cabs. That's a big thing. South. The new Maverick, which was a shocker.
Any of the Bronco stuff?
You know what? I have seen someone lift one, but I've never seen no one bag one.
Yeah. I know somebody is. I remember getting a message on it, but I never saw it. So I don't know if it's finished, or there's a lot of people doing different things with Broncos, but there was something that happened with them, maybe a recall or something that happened with the Broncos. I don't know. I don't want to say anything, but because I know it would be wrong, but there was something that happened with the Broncos that a lot of guys were having issues. So they had to do something with them. I don't know what it was, but yeah, I heard there was a lot of plans, and I've heard a lot of different ones. Whether those guys had the funds or the ability to finish them off is one thing, the other. But the Bronco was just a well-loved vehicle. I mean, they pre-ordered the crap out of that thing. So
it's like that truck that's right there. That truck right there, that's not a truck. That's a Blazer.
Right. Yeah.
Usually, when you used to see those C10 Blazers, they were all jacked up or something like that with big old buttons on it and shit. That right there, I like seeing stuff like that. Yeah. But
I want to see more of it.
I just like the creativity factors of car shows, and I love I'm going back to the beginning when we were talking about it, but I love the creativity of the car shows. I love people respectfully want to do pre-registration for top-notch vehicles.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it weeds out the bad people. It really does.
Yep.
It pisses them off, but it weeds them out. And also, I want to throw in before we go off. If you want to have an open car show, for God's sakes, let it be open.
Right. Yeah.
Don't have a classic car show and then call it an open car show for all, and then tell the lowriders when they pull up to the show that they can't come in because they're not classics anymore.
Yeah, words matter.
That happens.
Right, really.
I think that happens to some lowrider guys up here that went to an open car show.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, we can't afford anymore to be a separated thing. If it's divide and conquer, we as a car world, a lot of times we are very divided, and we can't, like I said, we can't afford to be that way anymore. We can't. And the thing is I'm not asking people to like stuff that they don't like. I'm just asking to be, I guess the word is being more tolerant to the things that they don't like, and say, you know what, that's not me, but it's part of this world, and that's okay. Like, too many people, if I could change one thing in the car world, it would be people saying that ought to be illegal or there ought to be a law. If I could change that line and just say, look, there's things I don't like. That's okay. There's guys with loud stereos that maybe they're annoying to you, or maybe they play the wrong music, or, you know, there's the Kentucky squat that seems to have tore everybody apart. Freedom, it's okay. Bro. Right.
It's freedom.
Yeah, and that's freedom. People get to do the things that they don't, and if you don't like that at your car show, then put that in your turn. You get to do that, but don't say your car show is open to everybody, and then have an exception for somebody. If you want to do that and you want to say, hey, it's a pre-70s car show, I'm okay with that. If you want to do an import car show, I get that. If it's a lowrider show or a mini truck show or whatever, and you say, I want to control what comes to the show because it's specifically about that show, nobody's against that. That's your show. You do what you want. What I'm saying is that the things about looking at people and saying they ought to make a law, that tent is bad, this isn't acceptable, blah, blah. We can't do that anymore, man. We got to be cool. And the thing is I would love, yeah, go ahead.
If you're going to have an open show, be open-minded. If you're going to have a meet everyone.
Right. Yeah. And that's the thing is there's a lot of things that, and the reason that we have to do this, and my friend Jerry, I say this, he was the guy that really, I loved it when he said it. And he said, if we're going to do anything, we're not going to agree with what the new people bring in. We're not going to agree with the cars that they bring in, but we have to be the leaders that we need to be so that they can have a better future. And if we're not those leaders, we're just going to create the same people that hate the next generation of cars, or maybe they hate older cars, or they hate whatever. It's all going to be this word hate, and all about saying things are illegal. Somebody got mad at me because I said, you're not a car guy. And the guy was like, because he says, I don't think any car should exist past electric. And I said, you know what? Then you're not a car guy. And he says, what do you mean? I like this and I like that. Yeah, but that's not what you said. You said those cars need to be illegal because they do this, they do that, they do that. I don't care about all that stuff. You can disagree. You can say the future is electric. I'm okay with people saying that. That's fine. What I'm saying is you can't force other people to drive what you want to drive. And that's just, if that's the way you think, then you definitely are not a car guy. If your thing is, I want everybody to drive exactly what I'm driving, then you don't appreciate cars. You could be a muscle car guy. You could say that. You could be an electric car guy. You could be a import guy. Or you can be whatever. It's okay. But you can't say that you're everything and then start chopping off limbs and saying, well, there's no head, there's no arms, and there's legs. But, there's a torso there, so that's got to be a person. It's not. That guy's dead. And that's the problem is if we keep chopping off parts of our arms and legs and everything and our toes and then saying, we're a unified car community. No, you're not. You're a bunch of friends that hang out, and that's okay. Don't take it wrong, but just be honest with yourself, because that's the thing is we need a car community that's united everywhere. It's a whole body, a head, arms, legs, toes, feet, everything. And those are different parts of your body. Some people like hands, some people like feet. If it's imports muscle, it's whatever it is, right? Don't get excited, but it's all part of that whole thing. Is you gotta. That's what's made us the history from the T model that became a hot rod to the 60s and 70s cars that became lowriders and mini trucks and 80s and 90s. They all have a piece of that chunk of their history that is important, which is just as important as the history that's coming up and is going to happen tomorrow. And there's nothing. And like I said, I hope people make replicas. I hope we do everything we can to make more and celebrate our past as well as is embracing our future. Nothing wrong with that.
I've seen bag Teslas already. I have no problem with it.
Right. So that's what I'm just saying. That's all I'm saying. So
have more battery juice.
Yeah, I will say the one thing is if there's anything that screwed us up in the car world, it's been the politicians, and that's the enforcement. If I could look, because they're the ones that make the laws, so I look at them and go, stop making laws, and we won't have much of a problem. But anyway, well, that's a discussion for another day. So I want to thank everybody that came out, everybody that did the comments today. This is a great show. We remember, guys, whenever we have stuff like this, that comment section is for you guys. If there's a topic that you want to bring up, even if it's off topic, I want you to be able to put it in there, ask us questions, put the stuff out there, find people that, if you want to be on the show. A couple of people message us that they're on the way back from shows right now. And they're like, are you guys going to be on it whenever? And like, we'll jump on. And I was like, yeah, we'll be gone by the time you get here. But yeah, next week we're going to have some more stuff. It's been a great topic for tonight. So this has been the ECS Hangout. Again, this is a open area for all you car people, anybody that loves cars and loves to discussing it. We're here for you to have a great discussion. We're on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, and we're here every Saturday at 8 p.m. Don't forget that we're sponsored by Control Freak, so go over to controlfreakcompany.com. And I want to thank Reggie for putting all this stuff together every week to make sure we had a great show. And is there anything you want to lead out before we end it off there, Reg? He just wants to look good.
Oh, me? I thought you were talking to the other person in the chat.
It's you. It's all you. Go ahead, son.
No, we covered it all within the last hour by ourselves. So, yeah.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. This is your host, Primo. We are out for today. We'll see you next Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern time. You guys have a great week and keep on rolling.